Welcome to historic Northeast Kansas City and the Olkey Recording Studios, aka our kitchen. It's time for another edition of Doing Dishes with Willard. And here he is, me, Willard. Hey guys, how you doing? This is my second attempt at my third video. Well, third overall video, second video that's I'm supposed to like really do under this format. I did one last night. I was trying to keep it under around 15 minutes, as my first one was 22 minutes long, and last night ended up being 24 minutes. And I also misspoke on stuff. I misquoted the Royals record. I misquoted the day that we were on. I called Thursday, yesterday, Sunday. So I had to do it. So I got down here now, got cleaned up a little bit. I'm just going to go for it again, kind of a bit of a spitball shotgun. Today's topic is going to be my favorite movies I just watched, movies that I recommend highly. But with that, let's get on to the dishes. I got a spoon here I need to clean. Also, I was brought to my attention by one of my family members, my niece, Jessie, about the music that was on before on my first video, and if about worrying about copyright infringement. Right now I'm playing music off of the list of videos that I compiled from YouTube, and I assume since they're on YouTube and anybody can access them that it's okay to use them. YouTube does scan videos, I don't know how they do it, to check for copyright stuff, and they found the songs that were on my last video, and it passed. So I'm not going to worry too much about that, so hopefully it's cool. Of course, let's talk a little bit about some sports. Nothing really new and exciting. Well, the match last night with Kelsey and Mahomes was pretty cool. I'm not a golf fan, you probably found out from my first video, but that was pretty cool. It was kind of not interactive, but I mean they were talking to the players and during the game and stuff, and it was pretty entertaining. I found myself getting into it. It was pretty cool. Of course, if you don't know by now, of course, Mahomes and Kelsey beat Stephon Curry and Klay Thompson. And before the match, the way they were talking up, especially Stephon Curry, so I know that guy could probably be on the regular PGA circuit. And so, okay, I'm not saying he's not a good golfer, but Trav and Pat whooped a little tiny there. So, skipping ahead to what we're on here. Okay. Micah Tyler, Walking Free. Okay, the last one was Petra Praise album, Song of Moses, I believe it was. Anyway, the Royals won late yesterday, well, won in extra innings, not late yesterday, won in extra innings. They had a day game yesterday in this god-awful humid heat. And Wednesday night, I made the joke before, looking at the schedule, like, man, watch it, we'll have a day game tomorrow on a weekday where it's like 100 degrees out. And then sure enough, they did. I'm sure they probably had about a total of 15, 16 fans out there, and this god-awful heat to watch a god-awful team. But anyway, they won. They whooped 14-1 the night before. Anyway, nothing really new to report there. They stink. They're 23-58. I misquoted that yesterday. 23-58, 35 games under 500. And the sad thing about that is, if we had an average team, an okay team, like around 500, we would be in first place, because the Twins, as of yesterday, were leading the American League Central Division with a record of 40-42, 2 games under 500. That's how bad the division is. And the Royals are last place in the worst division in baseball. Enough for that mistake right now. Chiefs, nothing really new there. Camp starts again the 23rd. I've heard some stuff. Again, like I spoke on my first video, that some players can report earlier than the 23rd, which I think that is the case, especially with quarterbacks and players who are on the injury list and the reserve list from last year can report early. So the 23rd, I think, is the first full practice for the team, so I'm assuming the team is going to start showing up probably like the Friday before. And quarterbacks and other injured players from last year, possibly, you know, even earlier than that, like a Thursday or Wednesday before. Nothing really news, and then that's about it for Chiefs, but nothing really news in the news. Staying away from politics. Getting into debates about politics is not worth relationships with my family and friends. It's just not. I consider myself an independent. I voted for Democrats and Republicans in my life, both times, and that's what I'm going to leave it at. That's it. But yeah, anything about news, this is kind of old news now, but I guess they were retrieving wreckage from that sub that got imploded, squashed, and the rescuers said they believe they found what looks like human remains. I mean, stop and think about that. They believe they found what looks like human remains. I mean, they got squashed. That's, I guess, one thing, because at least it was fast. They probably didn't suffer, but still, yikes! Ugh, gosh. All right, let me just go over my notes. I got my notes here. You see them? There, yeah. That house across the way, well, you can't really see it now, I don't think. But I'll get a better shot of it at another video. It was built like in either 1897 or 1892, 93. Anyway, it's like 118 years old or 100, not more than that. Almost 120 years old, 130 years old. Can't do my math here on the fly, sorry. But anyway, you see here, skip ad. All right, probably won't be able to hear the song. It's one of the quieter songs, but it was Michael W. Smith's take on Awesome God that Rich Mullins did. Okay, well, just before I get into movies, I just wanted to say, I showed you my notes here. I found out that the research for doing one of these videos takes pretty much a good chunk of the day, almost like a normal work day, because I'm researching, I'm editing, re-editing, adding stuff in. Anyway, it's kind of fun. It really is. So I just got to get this stuff polished out, and I'm doing this stuff here in the kitchen for now because I wanted a little bit of different hook instead of just being a normal dude like everybody else sitting in front of their desk and their camera. I mean, that's kind of just a boring setup. So I was trying to do a little bit of a hook, but it might change after this or after the next couple ones. We'll see how it goes. I want to get into talking about movies. The movies I've just watched recently that I would highly recommend. Avatar: The Way of Water, the sequel to the first Avatar. Really good. Not quite as good as the first, but the first one was pretty outstanding. I watched that probably 5 or 6 times. And anyway, this Avatar: Way of Water is really good. Really good. I wish I could have seen it on the big screen, but oh well. I watched Day Shift with Jamie Foxx. These are all like streaming, like on different platforms. Like Day Shift I'm talking about now was on Netflix. Avatar is through Prime and Max. I think Amazon Prime and Max have some kind of partnership, but I got that through there. And Day Shift, Jamie Foxx, Snoop Dogg, and I think it's Dave Franco, James Franco's brother, vampire hunting movie. but it's part comedy too, so it was a fun movie. Don't go in there with a super high expectations, but it's kind of a popcorn fun movie to watch. The Gray Man, excellent movie with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. Great action movie, high octane. I'm a big Ryan Gosling fan, so that probably makes me biased. So yeah, I recommend The Gray Man. I forget what platform that was on. I think that was Netflix as well too. The Extractions were Netflix. The Extraction 1 and Extraction 2 with Chris Hemsworth, the hired mercenary to go do and extract people. Hence the name Extraction. Action on par with like John Wick and Nobody. Excellent movies. Another movie, I think this is on Hulu, Sylvester Stallone movie. He did a superhero movie here this last year, in 2022 I think. It's called Samaritan. Kind of a generic movie for the first 2/3, but there is an excellent twist in the movie that I did not see coming for the last third of the movie, which in turn gives say that it's a good movie. I recommend watching it. Just don't go in with super high expectations. If you like Sylvester Stallone, like me, then you should like it. And I think that's about. Oh no. Justice League. That's Zack Snyder. I guess he's producer director. He redid Justice League with Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, Jeremy Irons, and Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller is the dude who plays the Flash in the current Flash movie that's out in theaters. But it's 4 hours long. But it's really good. Oh, Gal Gadot, who's Wonder Woman, she's in it too. But it's 4 hours long, so you better turn your cell phone off or whatever and get a big bowl of popcorn. But it's really good if you like the superheroes movies. It's DC's best movie entry for the superhero genre. I know a lot of people have been critical of DC in some of their movies, and I think rightfully so, to be honest. But this one is a wonderful redemption. Again, 4 hours long, but really good. Violent Night with David Harbour from Stranger Things fame and other movies he's been in now. I love David Harbour too. This is a Christmas movie where Santa ends up getting kind of pigeonholed into rescuing a wealthy family that's been taken hostage by a group of bad mercenaries. And in the movie, he is like supposed to be the real Santa in this, and they explain how the movie eventually kind of explains how Santa became such a bad dude as far as when it comes to fighting. But it's not a horror movie, total action movie. Get some good humor in it as well too. Highly recommend it. Violent Night. John Leguizamo. Anyway, I think you know who I'm talking about. He plays the main bad guy on that. Oh, and Beverly D'Angelo plays the mean, bitchy matriarch of the family in that. So, yeah. And last one that I've just recently watched that I recommend to you, this is strictly on Hulu, Flaming Hot, which is the true story or inspired by the true story about a custodian who worked for Frito-Lay that came up with the idea of Flaming Hot Cheetos. And anyway, true story, they pitched it, this custodian guy ended up becoming an executive for Frito-Lay. True story, and they show pictures of him, in real life, in credits, what he was like, where he came from, where he ended up at. And again, great storytelling, family movie. Yeah, family movie, and there's some funny parts in it too. There's some really good humor in that as well. All right, let's see where we're at. Hey, we're at 13 minutes. I'm doing good. Woohoo. Okay. This is Gangsta Grass. Gangsta Grass is a blend of bluegrass and hip hop. I love it. Something like No Time to Ride or something like that is what it's called. But I think it's cool. Alright, well, let me go ahead and talk about some of my favorite movies I've had all time. This might be boring, but I'm going to share with you anyway. And if any of you haven't seen any of these, by all means, go watch them. Go see them, rent them online or whatever. Stream. Okay, in no particular order. Well, the last couple movies are like my top 2, top 3 for sure, all-time favorites. And it really pisses me off that the camera is mirrored. All I got is my cell phone right now. I guess if I end up going back to my desk, I think that will show it straight. But yeah, I don't want to be a boring dude at a desk, but might end up having to do that. Anyway. Blues Brothers. I've seen that movie 25, 30 times. I've watched it. I played it for my kids a bunch, and I talked to Dominic, my second child, my middle child, my second son. He played it for his girlfriend a couple weeks ago, so it left a mark on my kids as well. They love it as well. So, but I'm sure probably the majority of you have seen Blues Brothers, but it's a great movie. Come on. the chase at the end. They're on a mission from God to get the orphanage saved. It's awesome. This is more recent. True Grit, the Coens brothers version of it with Jeff Bridges. I'm a huge Jeff Bridges fan. Love Jeff Bridges. Love that guy. He's definitely one of my top 3 favorite actors all time. And of course, Matt Damon is in it, and Josh Brolin. Excellent movie. And you know, as I spoke earlier, where I said I love Ryan Gosling, well, here comes another movie that him and Russell Crowe were in. Nice Guys. Buddy cop type thing, even though they're not cops. Gosling's a private investigator, and Crowe is kind of like a goon for hire kind of thing. Anyway, they end up kind of an odd couple kind of thing. Great comedy. It's a little dicey as far as the setting they're in, because they're investigating the murder of a adult film star. So take that with a grain of salt. It's still a great movie. It's funny. Yeah, it's awesome. Part of my nerd in me. Pacific Rim, done by one of my favorite directors, Guillermo del Toro, from Spain. He's done the original Hellboy, he did Pinocchio, he did Shape of Water, and he did this. And it's a kaiju, it's like Godzilla type monsters fighting against big giant robots that mankind made. Anyway, I've seen that a crap ton of times too. I mentioned Nobody earlier about action, referring the action from Extraction to like Nobody or John Wick. Bob Odenkirk, yeah, wait a minute. Bob Odenkirk, yeah. Anyway, Better Call Saul is awesome. This is done really well. In fact, one of the stunt coordinators that helped did Extraction is in this movie and actually helped do the stunts in this as well as Extraction. George Miller did all the Mad Maxes. This one is the best Mad Max in my opinion. No offense to Mel Gibson. I love those movies too. But this is outstanding. Non-stop action. Overlooked movie. I don't know if it's overlooked so much now. Alita, Battle Angel. Dystopian movie set in the 300 years in the future. Main star is a cyborg teenage chick. But it's really good. Christoph Waltz is in it. Jennifer Connelly is in it, and Mahershala Ali from the Black Book, from the Green Book, is in this. So they got star power in this, and it's cool. It's really cool. It's awesome. It begs for a sequel. Oh my gosh! But Fox, who made this, merged with Disney, so we don't know if this is Disney compatible now. So it might not happen. But it cries for a sequel. It's set up for a sequel. Speaking of Green Book, love Green Book. Great Odd Couple type movie. Most of you probably seen it. Love it. Just rewatched this last week with my brother Dave. Snatch, Guy Ritchie, who has a movie out right now, The Covenant, which is supposed to be the absolute bomb. This is Guy Ritchie's, for me, until I see The Covenant, his best movie that he's made. Funny movie. It's rated R for a reason, because there's violence in it, but this is a great Guy Ritchie movie. Another Guy Ritchie movie I've watched and want to rewatch again that came out a few years ago with Matthew McConaughey and Charlie Hunnam. You will probably recognize Charlie Hunnam once you see him. English actor, dude. He was in Pacific Rim, by the way, Charlie Hunnam. Anyway, The Gentleman with Matthew McConaughey and Hugh Grant is in that as well. That's a real good movie. Guy Ritchie movie. And now, drum roll, my favorite all-time movie ever, no question about it, undisputed. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Monty Python and their TV show and their other movies, Meaning of Life, Life of Brian, and their shows, they had the biggest influence on my sense of humor outside of my immediate family. And I've watched The Holy Grail literally probably about 35, 40 times in my life, and I'm ready to watch it again. It's a movie I can never retire watching. I love it. Monty Python is definitely not everybody's cup of tea. I get that. They're definitely kind of uber weird, silly kind of things, but I love them. Anyway, that's it for now. My Bible verse for the day is 1 Peter 3:9 out of the New King James Version. And it's this. But beloved, do not forget this one thing, that with, oh wait a minute, that's verse 8. I'll go ahead and read the discourse here. That's in context. Verses 1 Peter 3, 8 through 9 and 10. 8 through 10. 1 Peter 3, 8 through 10. Sorry. But beloved, I do not forget this one thing, that with the Lord 1 day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is 1 day. 9, verse 9. This is what I was wanting to share, stand alone. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some count slackness, but is long-suffering towards us, and not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of the Lord will come, verse 10, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, which the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. Both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. In context, it's really talking about the second coming of the Lord. But verse 9, I think it's talking about the Lord is not slack concerning his promise. But I think that's applicable across all areas of life, about being patient and waiting on the Lord, waiting for the answer, waiting to see something. James kind of talks along these lines, says, you ask yet you have not, because you ask amiss, so that you can consume it upon your own lust. That's a paraphrase, I'm not looking it up. But basically saying that sometimes we ask, we have a wrong motive for asking. Also, it is all about God's timing as well. So learn to be patient, learn to be content. Remember the verse I shared last week about being content. Anyway, God bless. That's it for now. I'm going to try to do 2 videos a week, one on the weekend and one midweek. This might count as my weekend video since I screwed up last night. Anyway, God bless. Go Chiefs, go Royals. Jesus loves you. All right, peace.